In the modern game of golf, there's never been more technology, and a lot of us use that technology to try to get better at the game of golf. But a lot of us allow for this technology to force us into thinking in a very binary or ones and zeros kind of way about our golf swing, meaning that it's either good or bad. And what we're going to do in this video is talk about some ways to where you can practice and start taking more of your feels to the golf course instead of technical thoughts, which tend to get blurry and in the way. So one thing that I've always found really maddening is walking to a driving range and it's packed full of people, and you'll see that about 20 to 30% of the people that are there tend to be really struggling. And not so much that they're struggling shot to shot, but they're struggling the same way time and time again. Meaning that they hit a bad shot, they rake one over, they hit a bad shot, they rake one over, they hit a bad shot. Now, hitting bad shots is going to happen when we play golf, but what we want to look at is how do we go about practicing in a way to where we don't just continually work bad habits into our golf swing. So here's what I mean by this. If you go to the golf course and you are a consistent slicer, let's say, then what we want to do is we want to hook a golf ball. That's the key. We've got to hook a golf ball. And we don't need technical thoughts for that. We just simply need to make a commitment that whatever happens, we're going to hook this golf ball. And then what we should try to do is we should try to hook a golf ball. So we stay there until we can start hitting hooks, because now we're actually exploring something new within the nervous system, which is how the human learns. So simply putting something in the brain that is opposite of what we have been struggling with is going to start the creativity process, which is going to allow for us to find a solution on our own. So I think a lot of us want to immediately diagnose and get out the video and get out the launch monitors and the force plates and take a deep dive into this. But a lot of us would be a lot better off by trusting what we feel as the athlete and actually going through some experimentation in our practice. So we've all been here, right? So, hey, this guy is telling me I should go out there and try some crazy stuff on the driving range and that's going to make me better at golf. But we can't just go out there and be all willy-nilly with it. So we actually need to have a little bit of a plan. So for a lot of people that are struggling and maybe new to golf, when they're out there hitting it badly, they don't really realize that it's more or less the same miss time and time again. Rather, they tend to think that their swing is changing every single time, and that becomes very frustrating. So what we want to do is, if you're struggling with just simple things like contact, we need to scale it back to a point where it's much easier for the athlete to learn. So if we're struggling making a full swing and hitting the golf ball and then the ground and off the center of the face, I would recommend shortening up the golf swing to where maybe we just go hip high to hip high for a while. And when I say hip high to hip high, I'm actually talking about the club head and not the hands. So a lot of times when we say hip high to hip high, we start seeing this out of people. That's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about here to here, right? So now it's like, okay, we're making a shorter swing, so what should be the goal of this shorter swing? The shorter swing is really simple. We're just going to try to directionally hit the golf ball where we're aiming. So what I mean by that is we're going to pick a target, we're going to make a short swing, and we're just going to go ahead and make that hip high to hip high swing and try to get the golf ball going straight. If it's going right, then we probably have the swing going a little too far this way. If it's going left, we probably have the swing going a little too far this way. But by shortening up that swing and actually working on what the feels are impact, this is going to be a much better way for you to learn what you're trying to do instead of constantly focusing on what you don't want to do. I promise you, I am one of the most technical guys in the game of golf, and I love measuring and I love my data. But at the end of the day, when we're on the golf course playing golf, we're generally stuck with our own feelings. And that's why we want to be way more experimental and creative in our practice and not so block and oriented on trying to do the exact same thing every single time, because that's not how golf works. We're never going to have a flat, perfect lie every time, and we're going to need to be variable with our skills. So by being able to be creative and variable, not only do we become better ball strikers overall, but we also become more creative on the golf course with our problem solving. So this is a great way to kind of start working on becoming a better overall golfer that's less technical and more feel-based, because as we get better, it's important for us to isolate on the one or two feelings that we know are really going to be there for us in our golf swing and lead to good things. So it's really crazy important to identify those, understand what we need to do to kind of reinforce those in our practice, and more importantly, what we need to do when we don't see those things happen on the golf course. So thanks so much for watching this video. If you have any questions about getting more creative in your practice, let us know in the comment section. We'll be happy to give you some feedback. And until next time, keep grinding.